Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the counselor's office. Jeff, you're getting a break today because I'm going to slap this live as quickly as possible for you beautiful faces because I was at work and I got messaged by my clanmate like, hey, Joe Blackburn, the game director for Destiny 2, has put some spice online. And if you know me, I have been very hypercritical the past couple at least days that I've released videos, but I've honestly been more critical since Lightfall. Generally, if you watch any of my videos, we're going to flip it over. We're going to get right into it. I have not watched this, but it's 15 minutes, and I want to dissect this. I want to jump right into it, and I want to give my feedback, react to it, and feedback about what is being said. I am curious whether this is going to play through. First off,
hey everybody,
the answer is yes. So we're gonna watch, we're gonna listen, and I'm gonna give feedback because, like I said, hypercritical. This is the big dog himself, and I'm just curious to see what he has to say.
It's Joe, and I'm
What's
just
up,
here
Joe?
to check in on how Destiny's going.
Not good, Joe. Not good.
So a few weeks ago, we put about State of the Game.
If you want to call it that. I know I'm interrupting him, but if you haven't seen it, check out my review of the state of the game, my video on what I think needs to be done for the final shape to actually be up to par. It needs to be like Baldur's Gate, in my opinion, but we'll see. It won't probably happen at all, but you never know. They need to over-deliver.
Communication that wasn't up to our standards for what y'all have come to expect for those kinds of communication.
Yeah, what we expected was actual, like, state, like, realistic state. Like, hey, this is actually what's going on.
It didn't provide the high-level vision that we normally provide, and really and truly, a bunch of us were heads down working the final shape and weren't able to give it the sort of...
I don't believe that. I feel that this is damage control. This is an emergency live stream like Diablo did whenever the patch notes came out and people hated it. And they're like, we messed up. And that's pretty much what I'm getting from this. Except instead of being the whole team, I have to give props. Joe is doing a solo, so I guess no one else could be thrown under the bus here. He's addressing it himself, so props. I don't think a lot of people would, so I will give props where props are needed.
Care and love that we normally put into these kinds of communications.
There was no love.
Nobody's fault but mine here on this.
Oh.
So I wanted to come in, talk to you all directly, and sort of give you an update on what we thought about the state of the game that we put out and what we think about Destiny as a whole.
Okay. Accountability. I mean, he does get the final say, so if he greenlit it, I appreciate him taking responsibility. He is the director, so if he's allowing this game to go in a certain direction, it should be him that is to be blamed. So, yeah.
Now, this is going to be pretty different than normal.
Okay.
This isn't a highly produced sort of production. It's me in my office. It's not scripted.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. I find it a little bit more sincere when it's just a conversation. I think a lot of us in the community can say, you know what, if you did more communications like this, we don't need this fancy live stream decorations and HD 4K. Like, save that for that. That's time wasted that could be put on the game, a lot of people would say. But just, this feels more real. This seems more sincere when it's clearly the director in his bedroom, like, hey, let's chat.
I've got a bunch of notes here that we're going to read through.
Those look like debate notes.
And it's going to feel probably...
And that wasn't like to make fun of him. No, I mean, as someone who coaches debate, that looks like a flow sheet. And I'm cool with that.
Probably more like you're just in a meeting with me, which is going to be rambly, and we're probably going to mess up a few times.
That's fine. I ramble all the time, Joe.
But really,
what I want is, I don't want just words, though, Joe. I need action here, Joe. I haven't seen this, so he might get to the action part, but I need action, Joe. I need action. Words mean nothing. You can be pretty all you want. It could sound like crap, like me. Action.
Really, I just want to go over where we're thinking about the game.
Okay.
So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the reveal coming out next week. We're going to talk about PvP. We're going to talk about armor. We're going to talk about our communication strategy.
Good.
Those are the big ones.
Yep.
So let's just get right into it.
Good.
Let's start with reveal. Next week, we're going to go out and
before he says anything, I want to know my expectations for the reveal. I'm going to be at work. And so usually in times past when a reveal came out, like for example, Lightfall, I stopped what I was doing to pull out my phone and watch the reveal. Like I gave myself a little mini break. If I wasn't needing to see anyone, if I wasn't needing to necessarily get something done, I would take a little mini break to watch the reveal as I could. I'm not going to do that this time. Like I'm going to literally just wait until I get home. I'll do a live reaction, upload the video for you guys like I'm doing now. But that's how low my expectations are. Is I'm not even worried about actually looking at it. I'm sure my clanmates will be spamming things in the Discord and I won't care. They'll probably have more emphasis than I do.
We're going to show an awesome showcase for the Final Shape.
Joe, it has to over-deliver. A lot of people comment in some videos that they're not going to do that. It's not going to be at the level of at least Witch Queen. It needs to be above it. It needs to be above at the level of Forsaken. Witch Queen is a flop. In my opinion, it's a flop. It needs to be Forsaken level.
Really excited about a bunch of the content in there, and truly, that showcase is not a reaction to the state of the game last week. It's not a reaction to a bunch of the sentiment online, and it's definitely not a reaction to this video.
Yeah, the sentiment online is bad, Joe. That's the one thing your state of the game didn't capture is how tired the community is. Like what a frame to stop on. Like sleepy like this, like they're tired like this. Like, that's how we feel, Joe.
It was recorded a while ago. I think I have a mustache in the video.
Oh, wow. What?
And it's a pretty focused reveal. In the same way that the game itself is pretty focused. The Final Shape is focused on the light. It's focused on the enemies we've been setting up and the allies that you've come to know.
Okay.
It's not about a bunch of wacky new systems or wacky new themes coming into Destiny.
Oh, so not like Neomuna with characters that die off within a couple of missions who we don't even care about. And another one that's more annoying than, I don't know, insert character that's annoying.
Instead, we want to make an experience that's super easy for anyone who's ever played Destiny to come in and absolutely fall in love with.
That's super easy. Super easy doesn't always equate good storyline-wise. If you have to water things down, like, I feel like it needs to have substance. If someone could just play this and understand the whole story of Destiny in one expansion, you did something wrong. Like, you should be forced to play the beginning of Destiny to get the full story. Or at least at Red War, you know? It feels like overall it'll be too watered down. The casuals hate me for that, and the newbies will hate me for that, but if you make it to where you could just play this expansion, you've got the whole story, that's not good. Unless you've got a whole movie at the beginning, and that's what you're talking about, like, we've got a whole dedicated movie to explain everything up to this point and whatever.
With the content that's before them. I think the other thing that's really important here to know as I sort of look at my meeting notes is that communication is built for a pretty wide audience, much wider than probably whoever is watching this video.
Okay.
So what we're not going to talk about is things like a big new Strange Coin refactor and Xur revamp that's coming out in the Final Shape.
So Xur's getting revamped. We're getting Strange Coins again. So I think that's a little late. Unless you can use it to target farm exotics. Because you already have that technically. So it's cool. It's nostalgic. But it's a little late for that. But, okay.
We're not going to talk about things like a refactor of HUD elements where we're making sure the buffs and the debuffs are more clear. And you can.
That is a quality of life that needs to be done. There's just the buff and debuff and then extra impacts of the game. It's so much crap on your screen. Makes the game look cluttered and ugly.
Can tell what's happening in higher level combat. It's going to, again, really be focused on the story, really be focused on the location, and maybe we'll get into a little bit about how the live service of Destiny is going to change after the final shape.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. It's like, if the live service at the end of its life has been this bad, my God, I can only imagine what crap they're going to throw down our throat next.
Following
If I'm even around. I may not even care.
that showcase, Dan, our GM, and I are going to be on set, taking questions, dotting T's, crossing I's, or maybe the reverse of that, on what you've seen in the showcase. So we'll provide a little bit more clarity on what was shown, and we'll probably get into some ways that...
Wait, so this is actually going to be an actual dev live stream. They're not going to do a pre-recorded video of them saying stuff like they are, but they're also going to do extra, is what I'm getting at. I'm feeling is what they're talking about. Good. We're getting back. That was one of my complaints, is that the old days they would have an actual live stream where they would take questions. Diablo team has been doing that, which is great that Bungie's finally going back to the roots.
Maybe our philosophy on the final shape or specific details might have changed over the last few weeks since we recorded the showcase. All right, I think that's it for reveal. If I'm looking at the sheet next, we've got PvP.
Oh, God.
So let's start with the state of PvP.
It's non-existent.
Right now in Destiny. What have we been doing? What have we been focused on? We've been really focused on
Marathon.
On sandbox balance. So like a big focus of effort last year was just making sure that Strand came out in a good place and got to live sort of in harmony with...
And the fact that it has not been nerfed, and it's not being nerfed, it's just the PV stuff that's being impacted. It's only the light stuff that's being nerfed in PvP that's impacting PvE, but none of the PvE nerfs to Strand are impacting PvP. So apparently Strands, they focused hard on that.
With the rest of our Crucible ecosystem. Aside from that, we've been focusing on putting up 2 weapon balances per season, one at the start, one in the mid-season.
Okay.
And we've been focusing on ritual updates to PvP, be this mode updates, point updates, reward updates at the beginning
What reward updates? Let's get into that.
of each season. Finally...
Oh, season. I thought he was talking about in the mid-update. It's like there wasn't any changes in the mid-update. Yeah, every season there's a new gun. That's whatever.
Flip over to our agenda. We've been focused on making 1 new map and a few reprises a year.
Yeah. One new map. And there, you say reprises. When was the last reprise we got? It was barely any.
Now, all that aside, I think it's fair to say this approach is not producing the Crucible that our players expect us. So what are we going to do? How are we going to change?
Yeah.
First, let's talk about maps.
Okay.
It's clear that the sort of slow trickle of PvP maps isn't having the effect we want. And
what effect were you wanting? People, you think people would be okay? Like, hey, we're going from this model to suddenly you're just not going to have anything for years? Because it's been like 3 years since they got new maps. Joe, I don't think you understand that there was literally a time where we went 3 years without a new map. It wasn't every year or sprinkled in. It was like a drought. Like, oh, here's a drop of moisture. And I'm not even a PvP main, like dedicated, sweaty. But even I understand that from the PvP community side.
although it gets an injection of PvP maps every so often into the ecosystem, it's also forcing this like 1 new map a year. It means you're trying to build a map that has to do everything, which means it can't be good at anything. So next year...
Yeah, imagine that. We can't make one specifically for 6s, one specifically for trials. Imagine if Halo, you did that. That was great. There was a division. You would see some specifically for one style, one other style, and it played well. Imagine that. Because when you try to have a jack that does all, it does jack all. It doesn't do any of it.
We're going to change our philosophy.
Good.
Instead of a slow trickle of maps throughout the year, we're going to focus our effort into a single map pack that's free for everyone.
Wow.
So imagine new maps.
Free? A map pack? Free?
Coming in one drop where we can make a bunch of new experiences that can
Okay.
all be good at specific things and adds a big variety in a single drop.
Okay, so this reminds me of Halo. Like, if you remember, like, what comes to mind immediately is Halo 2 with the DLC or the CD disc, and you just got like got multiple map packs. Like, that was the classic style, how we used to get content. And it's free, so I'm okay with this. I'm okay with getting a map pack, and you could say this is what you're getting. Because I guarantee you what we get in that map pack is going to be more than what we've been getting in years' time.
Drop next year. Now, this is a shift from our strategy, so it's going to take us time to sort of understand the details of what we're putting out here and getting that out to y'all next year.
Okay?
Okay, maps are great, but we still really believe that PvP is about the foundation, and new maps aren't going to solve a foundation. So, modes. First of all, I'm really excited about what's coming out in Season 22.
Relic.
First with Checkmate.
Checkmate.
Checkmate is a mode all about that sort of primary fire, basic weapon excellence of Bungie games, and being able to show that excellence in a PvP setting. It's what a bunch of our like really marksman style PvP players have been asking for a long time since Destiny 1.
Not having to get shotgunned or laser beam across the map
in the game. And I'm super excited for a bunch of those players to get that experience starting right away in Season 22.
Okay.
Next, we've got Relic. And so Relic is a different kind of mode, and it sort of is a building off of these experiments that we've been doing with.
I just want to say, I know Relic is like multiple different relics in times past that you do. It's like a power up that you get that randomly you get, and it's like does wacky things. Listen, I didn't care for Scorch, and I think Scorch is stupid, and I hate Scorch. But there's people that out there that like it, and at least it's an option, right? It may not be my option, but it's other people's option, and that's good. At least putting stuff out there, having more modes. You can't say, well, that's your problem. It's a you issue, not there's not enough content in the game. When you have multiple PvP modes to choose from, like Halo, it thrives.
Things like Fortress or Eruption.
And I mean like Halo, the old games, not Halo Infinite, the garbage tier trash.
Where it's about this quality Destiny sandbox experience of your guns and your powers that escalates when you succeed in sort of a crazy mayhem-like experience. Okay. And we think the balance of those two things is a really great time to sort of spin away from other parts of the game and get the full spectrum of what Destiny has to offer. Okay. I'm really excited about things like Fortress, and I'm really excited that Relic is going to provide an experience like this.
I wonder if you meant Checkmate, because we already know what Fortress is.
That is both, fun for people that are really good at slaying out and also has these sort of like high octane hijinks moments to it.
Okay. I mean, we'll just have to play it.
But that's what we've already committed to. So let's talk about some new things that we think we need to do.
New actions.
One, we know we need to bring more of our modes into the core playlists.
Yes.
We've been putting a lot out in Labs. We've been putting a lot out in Iron Banner. And to be honest, there's a few.
Supremacy was great. I like Supremacy. That was fun. I like the team Supremacy. It shouldn't be Guardian games only, in my opinion.
Obstacles to us putting these into our core playlists, be this VO or small bug level issues that we just were like, I don't know if we're ready. I think that has been blocking us from doing the right thing here. So we're going to take on some of
That's what's been keeping you from doing game modes? That. I don't know about that one, Chief. You're not convincing me.
With that bug wake, we're going to take on a little bit of the jank, and we're going to say, no. This isn't worth us not putting into the mode. And so we're going to take some of these modes that we've been putting in Crucible Labs, that we've been putting in Iron Banner, and taking them.
Can I just ask, they're not going to say anything about Gambit? Because Gambit has had multiple modes like this too. He's not going to say a thing about Gambit, is he? Gambit is truly dead if he doesn't say anything about it. Truly. He's like, that's a line in the sand we're not going to cross. I want to see if he crosses it.
Putting them into the core PvP experience that most of our players experience. We've also heard a lot about comp. And particularly about the way that we reward points in comp.
It's pretty bad.
We want to take a new approach to the way that we're balancing points in comp. Right now, we think it's just weighted too much on your personal MMR versus the people you're playing against. And when you win or when you lose a game, it can be really unpredictable how many points you're getting. We're going to go to a simpler system where winning
or if you consistently get trashed players on your side and you're carrying the team and yet you still lose points, it's like, I think if you are slaying out, you are playing objective, you're doing good. Regardless if you win or lose, you should get points. Like maybe a fraction of points. Obviously, if you're winning, you should definitely get the big boy load, but I don't think you should lose points. I don't know how many times I will feel like I'm doing a Make-A-Wish playing comp. And then sometimes it's the other way around where the two Guardians are doing Make-A-Wish with me because I'm already spent and frustrated and I'm like, I'm tired of this comp. I just want my three guns. That's all I want.
or losing just matters more. Finally, we want to get great modes like Countdown Rush into competitive and get modes that people are less excited about, like Rift, out of the rotation.
Rift is fun, but it sucks in a competitive scene. It's like trying to do Capture the Flag, but Capture the Flag, if you remember Halo, it's like a 4v4, and this is a 3v3. Because you could leave one dude and have three go attack, but now if you leave one dude, it's just 2 versus 3. Either way, I think it sucks, because it's not even a good Capture the Flag variant. I would rather have actual Capture the Flag, where there's 2 rifts, and you have to go and fight each other over each other's rifts, and you're going to dunk each other. Like, it adds more flavor, in my opinion.
Competitive experience, more about the game modes that, our players enjoy. Okay, so we've talked map strategy, we've talked modes.
Okay.
I want to talk one other effort we want to do here. We're going to bolster what we call a PvP strike team. Throughout Destiny development, we've built strike teams for efforts before.
So you don't have a PvP team though. We understand this, right?
This has probably been sort of invisible to you all in the audience, but in moments like in between Curse of Osiris and Warmind, we built a strike team for Destiny investment. This team was sort of built around...
Yeah, because Destiny was about to go off a cliff, and so you needed to do something.
Hey, how can we make it more rewarding and more enjoyable to just get stuff in Destiny 2? This team built stuff very quickly, like what would eventually become the masterworking system. They also went through, knocked out a whole bunch of bugs, knocked out a whole bunch of quality of life issues.
Okay.
We're going to take the same effort, and we're going to build a PvP strike team around the same principle, but have it focused on the Crucible.
Wow, PvP mains, they're actually going to do something that they should have done like 3 years ago, but congrats. PvP mains rejoice.
It's going to be led by PvP developers.
Wow.
And it has a really interesting playbook for how this works.
Okay.
And that's
Throw it to us.
First, the team decides what they want to do. They as a team get together, say, hey, these are the changes we want to make. Those changes go through me. They go through our systems CD. And then when we say, yep, those are great changes, they immediately get communicated with you all in the community, right?
Okay.
So this will be going out in a TWID, going out in...
He almost said the thing. He almost said the twab. He's like, ha, ha, ha. He wants to call it the twab too. He knows it's a bad. That's just being funny. I'm sorry. I just had to be funny. Even he's like, it's the twab. He acknowledges it's still the twab. The twid. What the heck?
And a Twitter post or going out on Reddit, right? Just sort of some immediate blast, like, hey, these are the changes coming. And those changes get communicated even before they start getting implemented. And then we start getting implemented. We found this formula is a really successful way for us to be able to push through changes quickly into the community.
Okay.
And I think one of the most exciting parts about these strike teams is we build them based off of community feedback. So these strike teams are built from the ground up to look at, hey, what are the pain?
Yeah. Again, where is the Gambit strike team? Because Gambit is just like Curse Osiris with Destiny was about to fall off a cliff.
Points that are hitting our community the most. And so
I mean, Gambit kind of is like either it's a waste of resources or you try to salvage it. Like, come on.
All this list is going to be built and burned down from, hey, these are the big issues the PvP community is looking at in Destiny.
Okay.
All right, I think that's the end of the PvP part of our agenda. If I'm looking at our notes here,
Okay.
I think we're now going to talk about armor.
Armor.
It's probably been a while since we talked about this part about armor, but we might have talked about it before. I want to start with just talking about like armor visual categories.
You have crap to we rush this out to that actually looks kind of good and to wow, that's amazing to Eververse. The top is Eververse.
In Destiny. So at the top, we've got what we call aspirational armor.
Or Eververse.
This is stuff like raids, trials, dungeons. We want the armor that comes from these activities.
I will give credit. Ghost of the Deep had great armor, but you also spent like what, $20 on it? $25? Yeah. So I mean, you paid for that armor
to be flashy, or to like really talk about the core of what that experience is. It's really important that when players earn these armors, they feel proud, they want to wear them, they want to show them off in the tower. Next, we've got silver, right? This is armor that you can buy for the store for silver.
Which is like 70% of the good armor, minus raids and dungeons. Like 70% of the good armor literally comes from Eververse.
It's important for us that this feels like it's sort of breaking the mold of what you could expect in a Destiny game. It's our place to experiment with stuff that's a little bit fourth wall breaky.
Okay, so the elemental armor didn't do that though. Like the elemental armor didn't really break the fourth wall. It was really, it felt the theme, but you have to pay for that. Like it should have been rewards in game. I don't care. Like all the elemental armor should have been in game earnable. Like minus bright dust. It should have been like aspirational loot to chase.
And importantly, we want anyone that spends silver on armor to feel like, hey, it was worth it, right? Like I got my money's worth when I spent this.
Okay, I will say there has been seasons where some of the Eververse armor looks like it was rotated out for like the season pass armor because the Eververse armor looks like dog water.
Armor, it was cool. Then we have what I call narrative armor. This is the stuff that you'll see in any sort of our marketing trailers. This is the stuff that you earn in the season pass. It's the stuff that you earn in the post game of a campaign. Yep. And it's really about driving home what that specific moment in time was. So in season 21, it's deep sea diver armor, right? In Witch Queen, it's a sort of like weird paranormal detective armor. You'll see what it is in the final shape here in a week or so. But that armor for us is really about like driving home this clear, consistent fantasy of like, oh yeah, I was there. I remember that time in Destiny. Finally,
the campaign for Final Shape should be literal darkness and light armor, like or paracausal armor. Like if it's not paracausal armor, they drop the ball. Like, if you make my character look like Sherlock Holmes for the Final Shape, I'm going to laugh at you.
We've got rituals and blues. And this space has always sort of been about that core Guardian fantasy. What does the Guardian look like that you would imagine as sort of the stereotypical everyday Guardian, or the Guardian that you see on the front line? Maybe, tragically, a Guardian that tried to go into the portal of the Traveler and then gets cut up into a million pieces. This is that spot. And we need a lot of armor here to sort of flesh out those fantasies. Now,
yeah, where is some of that armor you speak of? You know, the everyday Guardian armor. Where's that at?
Sometime in the middle of last year, we sort of reevaluated our priorities on armor. And we said, hey, we need to be spending more on the armors that people care the most about, the people that earn, that spend, that do all this to this so they can sort of get these armors in the game. So this is like our PvP stuff in trials, our aspirational stuff in raids and dungeons, our narrative stuff. We thought we weren't consistently hitting the bar enough in those looks. And I think that since that initiative, we've been really successful.
So let me get straight. You talk about trials. Trials hasn't got a new set in like how long? Like Trials didn't even get a new year set. Like honestly, it should have came out with the expansion, but it didn't. So already, I don't know what you're talking about. Iron Banner. Did we get a new set? I mean, the only set that looks good of recent times is literally the Taken King set. it was probably one of the best sets. But instead of making aspirational, cool Iron Banner, you had to copy and paste from Destiny 1. Comp doesn't even have its own variants, which I think you should. If you're not going to do regular free-to-play, Comp should at least have aspirational armor to chase just by playing. Kind of like the weapons.
On this, we've put out great stuff in terms of like cowboy armor for Spire. We've put out awesome stuff in the Root of Nightmares raid, and we've put out a bunch of awesome armor sets for sort of a deep sea fantasy.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you were already doing that stuff. Like, look at Destiny 1. How much of that stuff was already in the game? I'm just being honest here. Like, how much of the aspirational loot was already existed in Destiny 1? You were already doing that. So it's not like, oh, we had to drop the ball on ritual loot just to make this look good. It wasn't until like the beginning of D2 we started doing this half-baked stuff, because it all went into Eververse.
Last season and Season of the Deep. Now, what we failed to do when we reprioritized, hey, where are our resources going, is communicate this to you. So we knew that when we made this change, we weren't going to be able to make a ritual armor set every single year. And we thought, okay, well, that's fine. We have a lot that fits this sort of base Guardian fantasy. But we should have communicated that out to you. And so...
yeah, after you set the literal goals of what you were going to do. You set the expectation, hey, you can expect this. You actually said that. So that is your fault, which he's taking responsibility for. So good. But you can't be like, oh, well, we should have told you. It's like, how would you know? Like, you literally told us that this is the expectations. It wasn't like some magical thing that we came up in our minds.
One, I'd like to say, but this is not a thing that we're never going to invest in. We're investing in it again in the final shape. There's going to be a whole nother ritual suite of armor.
Good.
And
hopefully
we're
it's
excited
good.
to sort of replenish that base Guardian fantasy. But just because we're doing that in the final shape year, that doesn't mean that we communicated this soon enough. So also for this year, we want to take an armor set that we were going to put in the Eververse, and we're saying, no. We should have communicated this earlier. It's really important that our fans can trust us. Let's take this armor set that we were going to use in Season 22 for the Eververse set, and let's say, no, it's going to be free, and we're going to put it as ritual rewards.
Ron. I wonder why. Maybe it's because you got so much backlash that, we're not going to make paid because they're pointing out how much paid crap we're putting out there that they have to buy. So yeah, of course you're switching it around after you get literally spanked. Like, who's surprised about this? This is obviously meant for PR control. Like, oh, my bad. Whoops, the community's upset. We got to make them happy. This is what I said in the video, my previous video, that Bungie likes to do a little sprinkle. Like, oh, we hear you. They do a little sprinkle, and then suddenly the community's like, oh, they're hearing us, and then we're back on their side. Like, wow. They took something that was going to be Eververse and made it ritual. Why can't that be the standard? Because I literally say this game, I even made the complaint that they focus so much on cash. And this is literally their way of countering, like, oh, we're not about the cash. We're not about the money. Wait. Look, you get armor. Don't you like armor? Don't you like armor? Here's your cracker. Probably want a cracker? Again, action means more than words. I want consistency and expectations. I want to see this happening more. Like, if you're going to release these rituals once in a blue moon, make them fire. Make them the Eververse armor. But I'm not going to give you a pat on the back saying, you know what? You're listening to us. It seems more as PR control, in my opinion.
So next season, before the end of the season, you should see a brand new armor set that you can earn through playing Strikes, Crucible, Gambit as like a ritual reward for doing this, a brand new armor look.
Okay.
Again, we're confident in our strategy going forward. We believe this is the right priority going forward, but also it's our responsibility to communicate this stuff sooner. So we want to make sure that
especially after you've told people that this is the expectation, and once we call you out on it, like, oh,
we're doing the right thing by all the fans. All right, I think that's armor. Let's talk about comms. Okay, we've talked a lot about how the development team is very busy, and I think that although we really want to be focused on delivering great content to y'all and making sure that's our top priority, that doesn't mean our communications have to suffer. And so the first thing, we want to be talking to y'all more.
I mean, literally Diablo talks more than you guys do. Like, even this would be okay. I'd be okay with this. This is sincere-ish. I still think there's a lot of PR backtracking, trying to protect yourself here. Like, oh, wait a minute. Don't jump ship yet.
But
here's your armor.
More, our number one priority, we have to keep our community members and our community leaders safe from the Bungie side.
And I am 100% with this. I think there are some douchebags in the community that, no, not douchebags, because there's douchebags, and then there's like cesspool level degenerate creatures, not even human beings, that are just so beneath a human being that try to attack other people and try to threaten them and all that. Like, I want people to understand how much I'm against that.
I don't want anyone that signs up to come work at Bungie and to talk to y'all about the game to have to worry about their personal safety. So we're going to keep using our branded accounts. You'll see these on Twitter, and you'll see these on Reddit, right? And we want to be using those accounts with more personality, going and talking to y'all more. The other thing is me. I play the game a bunch, and right now I don't have a bunch of time to be writing sort of big, long blog posts like you would assume. But when season 22 rolls around again, I'm going to be in the game a lot. I'm going to be playing a lot. So what we want to do is commit to a few times next season and the season after. I'm just going to stream me playing the game, and you'll be able to come and talk to me. And it's not going to be reveal packed, but it is a great time to just be like, hey, check in with Joe. These are the things that we're feeling, get his opinions on them. And hopefully, if I can get and play with some of our like elite players, learn a bit more of the game. I learned a ton from playing with y'all in the community.
Okay, so I just want to note that it was my biggest critique is that developers, and he's a director, but even the developers probably don't play nearly as much as we do as the consumer. So I will give credit that he's actually trying to break that mold, but I also feel like it's also because people are like, Bungie doesn't play their own game. I feel like he's trying to break that mold. I don't know if it's for PR, if he genuinely feels like, you know what, they're right. I need to connect more with the game. But also he's wanting to use this as an opportunity to communicate with the community. I see that as a W for everyone. I think we need that. We need more inside comms. And if he's willing to be that guy as the head honcho, like, that's cool.
Different builds that are exciting and different ways to roll. So I want to commit, get out there, play some PvP, learn from some experts, and play along.
I'm sure there's a lot of PvPers that would love to play with you, but a lot of them are probably going to be streamers, and I have this silly feeling that the people that are very active and complaining about the game are suddenly going to be honeypotting Joe to play with them, and when they're playing together, they're going to be very tame compared to what they usually are on their Twitters and their YouTubers. Watch it. It's going to happen. They're going to honeypot Joe.
Alongside all of you.
I don't even know if that's the proper term, but you can expect them to sweet talk and be all like, oh, we're great friends.
Next season. All right, the only thing that I have left here is close. So I think that means my rambling on here today is over. Thanks so much for listening to this, for watching this. Really excited to see a bunch of y'all next week at the reveal.
Okay, so like I said, this is fresh. This is raw. Ooh, I don't want to. This is a fresh, right off. I just got off work. I'm here. I'm going to not really edit it. So sorry, it's a long video, but my thoughts. I think a lot of these were W's. The map packs, you know what? Great. That's probably going to be more maps than what we've gotten. Again, they didn't cross the line for Gambit. Like, Gambit doesn't exist. We're not even talking about a strike team for Gambit. Like, Gambit is just like, I honestly would have said, I would have given this a 10 out of 10, you know, video if he would have just came out and said, Gambit is, you know, Gambit's the loss to us. We would honestly take it out if it wasn't for the small community that likes Gambit. Like, I would have been like, you know, he's got balls of steel. He's being 100% honest. Kudos to you. In fact, if he had the balls to do that, I would have bought the deluxe edition of the Final Shape just for the fact that he broke the mold of honesty that we have gotten. I mean, we're getting some honesty, but also it feels PR related. Like, oh, we've got to cover ourselves. And that's kind of what Diablo did, right? With their emergency live stream. They did a lot of, well, we got to fix things. Don't worry. We got this. We got that. We're going to do this. But action means more than words. And just because you do a little sprinkle like, oh, here's the Eververse armor. Here's your $1. I don't want to see just 22. I want to see season 23. What's going to happen there? I want to see expectations meeting those bars. And I'm still holding them to over delivery for the Final Shape. If it's not Forsaken level, it's an L. You need a strike team on your delivery system. That's what you need. A strike team for your delivery system. How can we make this better? So I like that he's willing to play and communicate, but I have the strong feeling he's going to be honeypotted. If that's not the appropriate term, he's going to be sweet talked with these known streamers, content creators, and they're just going to literally be tame. They're not going to throw the hard balls. They're not going to be as critical as they are on their Twitter or their YouTube videos. They're going to be like, oh, me and best friend Joe. Hey, Joe, you doing this? Oh, that's great, Joe. We're so happy. Life is good. Da, 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 da. I'm very cynical, but I think we as a community have a right to be cynical because of how much faith we put into this game, and how much we've just been bent over. Like, why is communicating changes the last thing? And would we have been communicated this if the community wasn't in an uproar, wasn't upset about the state of the game? Would any of this happen if the community wasn't upset? The answer is no. None of this would happen if the community wasn't upset. It would have been like, just brush it under the rug. So I think this is good. I think it is a W in some senses, but I think it's also an emergency. We've got to do the bungie thing where we give you the carrot on the stick. For me, this is not gonna change anything for me in my personal take. It's going to have to be consistently with seasons, and you're gonna have to sell me on the Final Shape. Like, you have to over deliver. I'm just saying. I've already paid for this year up to the next expansion. Like, that is where I have to make a new purchase. So I will be trying all the seasons. I will be judging it fully. I will be playing it, consuming, and getting my money's worth. That's the key thing. Like, oh, don't give it your time. But the thing is, I've spent money, and I don't know about you, but I'm going to get my money's worth, and then I'll stop playing. And that's usually what happens. I've been playing other games or being hypercritical, making videos. So this is a long video, but this is my hot take on this live reaction. So you guys know where I'm at, because I've been very critical. I think a lot of this was a PR move. And he may be 100% genuine with all this, like, this is just because we really want to be for the community. That's not the sentiment. That's not what's been communicated. That's not the feeling that us as the community have gotten from you. So it's up to you to repair that feeling, not us. You have to win us over through your actions, not your words. We'll see. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. This has been the Counselor's Office. This is going to be raw and uploaded as is. Sorry, not sorry. I'm hot and sweaty. I didn't turn the AC on, and my pits are raining men. Actually, not really. Until next time, don't forget to be the best version of yourself. And as always, comment down below. I'd like to hear what you think, whether you agree with me and or if you have your own hot take. I would like to hear it. Until next time, don't forget to game out. It's hot.